All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I don't know when you're watching this, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it on a replay. But in today's YouTube Live, as always, I want to answer as many questions as possible for people watching it live. So if you're tuned in, fire away any and all questions you have. If you're watching it on replay, fire away in the comments. I try to answer all those as well. Whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or watching it live on YouTube, all the questions should come through to me. So I'm happy to answer those as we walk through some scenarios, because I'm going to be talking about how to structure your mortgage to win. Like, more than happy for you to tell me, hey, type in 450, show it to me with 10% down and a 2-1 buy down. How much would it cost for a 3-2-1 buy down? What about a 1-0? My goal is that whether you're an agent, whether you're a consumer, whether you're a fellow loan officer, that if you show up to a live, you learn something. And so in today's, I'm talking about how to structure your mortgage to win. And the reason I'm talking about it is because right now, specifically, September of 2023, at most every price point, there is room for negotiations. It feels like a more normal market where you don't have to submit your highest and best 3 days after a property gets listed. Properties, even ones at entry-level price points, seem to be sitting 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. And so you're able to have the flexibility in, one, taking your time with submitting an offer, but two, and more importantly, in my opinion, structuring it with seller credit, structuring it in a way that allows you to buy down the interest rate, whether permanently or with a product like a buy down. And we'll go into some details and some scenarios later. These are all things that are good for the buyer. And I'm team buy side. I'll continue to preach that. I should probably get a jersey that says team buy side, because ultimately, as a mortgage broker, we're working with buyers. So if seller thinks it's worth $699, but they don't have any offers, and you know, great buy side agent writes something up at $680 with $20,000 in seller credit, because that's the way we can structure a great looking mortgage for our buyer, I'm on team buy side. So without further ado, I think I'm going to pop in and just start walking through some of these buy down scenarios. Please, if you're watching it, you got a question, no matter how simple it is, fire it away in the comments. Whenever you ask a question, undoubtedly somebody watching or even on replay is going to have a similar question, and you're going to help yourself and you're going to help them. So Let me share this real quick just so I can show you, maybe in your market at a $400,000 price point, it's relatively competitive. And you might tell me, hey, Matt, like getting a credit of $10,000, getting a credit of 2.5% is an impossibility. Like it's never going to happen. Okay, fair enough. But if you've got a property that's sitting for a while and it's listed at 400, could you offer them 385 with 5,000 in seller credit? And let me show you what that's going to look like. 385, 10% down, 346.5. I guess I could do this. Guess I could do this live. I can share and then we'll mess with this. All right, let's turn these notifications off. Do not disturb. There we go. My watch is pinging and dinging. And I want to be here with you. All right, how about this window? Now, hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom in a little bit. What we have here is a 385 purchase price, 10% down. And I'm going to show you guys what a 1.0 buy down looks like. And I've got a calculator. I've got 1.0, 1.1, 2.1, 3.2.1 buy down. I've got all these different scenarios that I can go through. And then I've got the calculator. So in this case, 385, 10% down, loan amount of 386,500. $386,500. Purchase price of $346, right? $346,500. $385 was the purchase price. 7.124 was the rate. And here we see 2748 is all we need for the 1.0 buy down. 2748. So let's say you got 5,000 in seller credit. You offered him 385 with 5,000 in credit. 2748 buys you the buy down, which gives you 1% lower payment in year one. And then you've got 2252 left over in credit to help offset closing costs. Realize this stuff over here may be relatively small. Let's try to make it just a little bit bigger. Let me know if you guys can see this. But in an environment we're in right now, affordability, monthly payment is really, stretched. You might say, if I can get in 2648 a month in year one, and then it goes to 2877, allows you to ease in to that payment. I realize some people might be renting for 2,500. So going to 2,900 a month is a step up. Ease yourself into it, 2648. I'm not going to be the one that says guaranteed you can refinance in 12 months, but there's a likelihood that you can between 12 and 24 months refinance into a lower interest rate. If you don't, if rates continue to stay high, you're still in the equivalent of a 30-year fixed 7.124, right? 2877. So it's not like it's adjustable. It's going to adjust forever. It's stuck there, but this just gives you a little bit of flexibility to ease into the payment and save what looks like $229 a month for the first 12 months. So there's that. Michael Mahia, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Looking to buy a home from Lennar. I want to negotiate a 3.2.1 buy down versus the 5.75 they're offering if you close by end of 11/23. Does the 3.2.1 cost the lender more? FHA 3.5% buyer. Loan $650K. All right, let's do it. I'll show you exactly what we're working with. I love the real life example. So thanks for joining. I appreciate you. And in return, we will literally walk through exactly what it's going to look like. Bear with me while I pull up purchase scenario template, FHA. All right, pulling up my handy dandy FHA 3-2-1 buy down. So you're telling me that loan of 650K. So what's the purchase price? Like 670, 680? I'm going to make a couple assumptions here. And I'm just going to come and I'm going to say 680 purchase price, 3.5% down. FHA. It gives us a 656 loan amount. So it's pretty close. I guess if I want to make it closer, I could go 675. It's still going to be a little high, but close enough for government work. 675 purchase price, 3.5% down. Now we got like a 651. You got to make sure you're working with a lender that does these buy downs. Most of them do. Of the lenders I work with, more of them do than they don't. So 575. If they bought your rate down to 575, that would cost them roughly 2.5 points. And let's say 2.5 points is 15 grand. Okay, so I've got that piece of the puzzle worked out. $675. Delete. All right. Real life scenario, guys. Live and direct. I've just got to change the screen I'm sharing. All right. Now I'll share this new screen. We've got the FHA one. FHA master buy down. All right, Mike. Hopefully this is visible, legible for everybody. 5.75 interest rate, right? And this is about a 2.5 point cost. Whether it's Lennar, whether it's a mortgage broker, Lennar's got their own in-house lending. 16 grandish is what it would cost them to do it this way. And your payment's $49.10, assuming principal interest, mortgage insurance, property taxes of about 1.25%. If you're buying it in California, 1.25% is pretty accurate. And then homeowners insurance of $100 a month. I don't know if this place has HOA or the other stuff, but this is what a scenario would look like for us, $49.10. Or if you wanted to get that credit to do a 3-2-1 buy down, they should be able to get you to, like, we're writing FHA stuff at like 6.6 with pretty minimal cost. So let's look at your 3-2-1 buy down. 6.25 should be about a half or a quarter of a point. We'll call it a quarter of a point. So very minimal. And you don't want to spend a bunch on the upfront rate if you're doing something like this. 675, 651, 375. 651, 37. We're calculating what it's going to cost to do the 3-2-1 buy down. 675 there, 6.625. We don't need the PMI. That's not going to matter. 3-2-1 buy down, seller concessions. All right, 321 is going to cost them $29,318. So for you, it's a sweet looking deal. You know, you got a payment that starts at 4,100, 45. Doesn't really get to that payment you'd have at 575 until year 3, 4,900-ish. And, you know, the only thing with this is going to cost the seller builder, if they do this, 29 grand and some change. So let's see if they want to do something that's equivalent to the 16 grand they gave you to buy it down to 5.75 would be more like a 2-1 buy down. So then we'd be 6.625, 675, and this is about a quarter point. If you're getting about that $15,000, $16,000 from the seller, and you're looking at permanent buy down versus the 2-1 buy down, here's what it looks like. 45.22 in year 1, 49.29 in year 2. And if you think you're going to refinance it within 24 months, this is probably the play that you go with. The downside risk is that you get this $5,300 payment and rates never go below this, right? And so I'm the first to say, like, you are going to do it however you're most comfortable. If 575, set it and forget it, feels more comfortable to you, $4,900 a month, you're cool with that, then you do that. If you prefer to start at 45.22 and you're like, listen, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to refinance sub 6% on a 30-year fixed in the next 2 years, and then I'll get a refund of whatever's sitting in this buy down account. These are pretty close options, to be honest. If you ask me what I would do, these two side by side, like, you know, the seller that is able to do 575 and buy that down permanently for you, or they're giving you a 2-1 buy down that looks like this. There could be cases on both sides. So hopefully that helped. Thanks again for the question. I really appreciate it. Brad, let's do this. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Basilio, greetings from Orlando, Florida. Are rates going up this month? I need to cash out, refinance one of my rentals. I bought it in cash back in January, so all my capital is now tied to this property. I don't think rates are necessarily going up this month. I also wouldn't bet on them to go down. Rates seem to be relatively stable. And so the thing you want to look at, Basilio, is the conventional terms have changed. Fannie and Freddie now require 12-month seasoning versus 6. So you might not be able to cash out refinance until you've owned that property for 12 months. So you might be waiting until January. Either way, Connor, who's on the team, who's in the office next door, does all the Florida stuff. We could work up some quotes for you. So fire me an email, Basilio, matt@mtmg.com. If you want to look at a Florida refinance, happy to look at it. If we're talking next 30 days, I think it's more likely to trend down than it is to trend up, but not by a ton. And so I wouldn't bet very heavy one side or the other. I think it's gonna be relatively even. I would check on conventional. It's definitely 12 now. Oh, if you buy them cash, I feel like if title is transferred, or if you bought it cash, it should be the same. It should be the same 12-month seasoning. I'll double check. This is where great questions require that I go get educated and brush up. That's why I'm on this live, to help myself get sharper. So thanks for that question, Basilio. I will for sure double check, make sure that it's 12 months. Because yeah, if you bought it in January and you're 6 months in, we're good. Cash out refinance works. If you're watching this, whether now or on the replay, you want to connect with me and my team, go to, where is it? greatmortgagebroker.com. Fill out the quick form. We're more than happy to help. I want to talk about how to structure your mortgage to win, because if I look back on the 7 or 8 we've put into contract over the last couple of weeks, without like getting too specific, or I'd be giving up, information about clients, like below list concessions, at list price seller concessions, below list price massive seller concession. That one's a builder deal. Got concessions that he was able to use with us, even though we're not the builder's lender. More on that to come. Well, more on that right now. If you are a buyer and you feel like the builder's pushing you to use their lender, and they're like, you got a $7,500 credit, you can only use it if you use our in-house lender. My buddy just told them, either I use my outside broker and I get your credit, or you guys have one more home to sell and I'm not a buyer. And they gave in. They let them get the credit and use us, which generally speaking, mortgage brokers are able to get you a better deal. If we're beat, it's because of the concession. So if you get the concession and you use us, you come out ahead. I get it. Not every builder is going to give in. It's not going to necessarily work every time, but it won't hurt to try. I'm just going through the list, trying to think of like that one, slightly below list, refinance, non-QM, refinance. Another new build purchase where in-house lender wasn't used. Thank you very much to a past client who trusts us and doesn't want to gamble. Purchase below list. Ooh, sweet 2-1 buy down. That one was cool. Yeah, if I look back at the last 15 deals, at or below list, and 80% of them have seller concessions. So now's the time for buyers. Now's the time for buyers to go out and find some deals. Hey, Brad, if one takes an FHA loan for a multifamily and it's owner occupied, how long does the owner have to stay in property until they're eligible for another FHA? With FHA, there's exceptions for more than one FHA loan. You couldn't go buy yourself a 4-plex, live in one unit, rent the other 3, and then say, all right, now I'm going to go buy a triplex 2 blocks over and get yourself another FHA loan. You have to fit an exception where you've got a legit increase in family size and you need more room. You're moving at least 100 miles away for a job relocation. Sometimes you get an FHA loan and you've got 2 borrowers, and one borrower's moving forward and going to use their FHA eligibility on that while the other one remains in the house. I made a video on it, which, can I get 2 FHA loans or something like that? You type in that, Math of Mortgage, you should be able to find it. But generally speaking, FHA's deal is like, got to owner occupy it, and you can only hold one at a time. There are exceptions for more than one, but you got to fit into one of those exceptions to make that happen. Thanks for the question, man. I appreciate it. Speaking of mortgage rates, I think what we got to look forward to next is our next CPI reading. going to pull up this 30-year mortgage rates. Wow, that was a little bit of a swing. Had some good fun. Wow, what a little U. Pulled a little U-turn. People like to check this out, so let's check it out. Remember, this is for good to great credit, 30-year fixed rate debt across, the universe average. Oh, where are we at down here? A year ago, we're down 5.98. Sweet. October, November last year, things got up in the sevens. The market slowed down, became really a good time for buyers to buy. Last year, fourth quarter, massive amounts of seller concessions. Sweet deals were written. Rates went down. Buyer demand kind of lags. Like rates went up and it took a little while for buyer demand to fall off. And the same thing happens down here. Rates are lower. Like here comes the demand because rates are lower. It takes a while. It probably took till February or March until people started, really getting into it. And by then, like rates started going up again. And, interesting dynamic. 2023, March, April, May were really competitive real estate months in a lot of markets, especially the entry level. But with rates up to, 22-year highs or whatever you want to call it, seen a dramatic cool off in buyer demand. When I watched Altos research earlier today, we still are at lower inventory levels than we were last year, which was already really low inventory. And so we'll see if buyer demand cools enough to allow inventory to climb and go, last year it was like August, September, October, inventory climbed. And when inventory goes up and there's more houses on the market, you see price softening. You can offer less. You can get more seller concessions. You can get a better deal because there's more out there. Somebody's got motivation to sell because they're moving across the country and 6 of their neighbors are also selling. They're going to have to consider lowering the price, offering seller concessions. So anyhow, interesting to see. We've got a good year of elevated interest rates. I think people are kind of realizing the ship on sub 5% mortgage rates has sailed, at least for the foreseeable future. So now it's just a matter of finding ways to structure a mortgage that works for you, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, using seller concessions for a permanent buy down, temporary buy down, or whatever other, in some people's cases, they just need help with the closing costs. So it might be, give me the 7% interest rate, but pay for all my closing costs so that my out of pocket is only 3.5%, because that's what's important to some people. So there's that. Fire away questions if you got them. I might run if nobody has any questions because it is a busy Monday. People are out there getting deals. My clients especially. So my advice to you, if you're in the market, whether it's an investment property, whether it's an owner-occupied home, get out there and do the work. Word of caution for people that hear what I'm saying and think to themselves, sweet, rates are up, buyer demand is down. I'm going to go out there and get a sweet deal listed for 600. I'm going to go offer 500. Keep in mind, not all markets behave the same. A house that's in great condition in a great neighborhood and it's also priced well, you might not get any discount at all. But the problem with it is the seller can price it at whatever price they want. I've got a buyer looking at a house that's priced at $499, and it should have been priced at $599 or even $619. This place is worth $625,000. And because they priced it at $499, it's going to get 30 offers. But there's going to be some people that are like, hey, listen, I know you can get a discount in today's market. I'm going to go offer 480. You get laughed out of the building at 480 because this one happens to be priced 6 figures below what it's worth. On the flip side, something that might be priced at $850 and it has no business being priced $1 above $750. And if you go out there and offer them $775, you feel like you're getting a great deal, $75,000 off. But the $850 was an arbitrary number they came up with anyway. So list price versus what you pay for it isn't necessarily the goal, right? The goal is this house in this condition, in this neighborhood, sold in May for $650. If I can get it in September or October for $610, I'm getting a pretty good deal. And if I can get it at a price I'm comfortable with a mortgage attached to it that makes sense for me, and I'm locked into that, it can only get better, right? And for a lot of real estate investors right now, it's a tough time because some of these investments need to be bunts and base hits, and they're trying to hit doubles and triples. If you hit a base hit and you're on base, you can still score. Rents will go up. You're more than likely not going to stay in the same loan for 30 years. You'll have the ability to refinance. I've got great examples of that. 2 places I bought in 2019 was self-employed, had to use debt service coverage ratio loan, which meant my rate in 2019 was 7%. The deal still made sense at 7%. Fast forward 4 years, rents are up 30 to 40% on every single one of those 8 units, those 2 fourplexes. And both of them got refinanced in 2020 to sub 3.5%, 30-year fixed rate debt. Those things are performing really well. When they were purchased, they were probably one of them a single, one of them a double. They're both home runs 4 short years later, but it took getting on base first. And maybe they're not home runs. Maybe we just had to steal second and third. Somebody fumbled. Maybe it was the Fed and dropped that fly ball, let rates get down sub 3.5%. And we got to take advantage. That's enough analogy for me, man. I got to get rolling. I got to get to work. Let's answer these questions before we roll. Sharon Tran, thanks for joining. Is rate buy down only applicable to primary residence or investment property as well? There are a few outlets that will allow you on the non-QM side, DSCR, to do a buy down. Few and far between. As far as conventional and FHA and VA and those types of loans, primary only. And I mean, I went to the top of the top, literally voice memoed a CEO you guys would all know and said, dude, if we got some buy downs on investment properties, it would be game on. And he said they're not coming. So maybe I'll revisit that. Who knows? But so far, conventional conforming type loans or FHA, VA, only on primaries. On investments, I know of at least one company that does it on DSCR, but you might have a start rate that's in the mid to high 9s. So even with a 2-1 buy down, you're looking at pretty expensive money. Hopefully that helps. Jay Homeboy, buy the worst house in the best neighborhood and you'll come out a winner versus buying the best house in the worst neighborhood. Your thoughts? I agree 100%. I mean, you could do as much as you want to a house in a bad neighborhood. It's still going to be a bad neighborhood. And I mean, when it comes to resale value, if you're thinking about reselling it, or if it comes to, rents that you can demand if you're keeping something as a rental, like the neighborhood matters more than the house for sure. 100%. Because what I see a lot of people do is, they can get emotional, nice looking countertops, really remodeled, like that sells. And then I look and I go, wow, that neighborhood, right? Because it's going to have a ceiling on how much it's ever could be worth. There's certain neighborhoods where like nothing will ever be worth more than 500 grand in that neighborhood. On the flip side, you buy the biggest piece of trash in the best neighborhood, like Jay Homeboy said, things are selling for $1 million in that neighborhood. Yeah, in current condition, the piece of crap you bought is only worth 600. But over time, you're generally going to renovate and make the house nicer. Anyways, you might as well do it in a neighborhood where there's a higher ceiling on what the value could be, or a higher ceiling on what you could rent it for. So that's my thoughts. Thanks for joining, Jay Homeboy. Thanks for the question. I appreciate you guys. Fire away on replay, questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer those. Hope everyone learned something. If I can be of any help again, feel free to reach out to me and my team. Best way, greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the quick form. Or if you just want to fire us a question, fire away, team@mtmg.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we gonna see.